Hi there, I'm Darren Sears, and this is Highlands, a watercolor on aquaboard inspired by a trip to the Galapagos Islands. The goal of my work is to capture the full experience of natural places I visited, or idealized versions of those places. I don't paint a landscape here and there. I depict a journey or a wandering through a place by combining multiple perspectives into a single composition. Each work is a mix of landscape and aerial perspectives that I base on my own photography and on satellite imagery. I think of them as maps rather than paintings, and I call them worldviews because they represent complete, multidimensional worlds rather than individual snapshots or purely bird's-eye perspectives. To me, an individual landscape doesn't have meaning unless I can experience where it ends and what's beyond it. Defining and compressing landscapes like this gives me the feeling that I can fully know and comprehend them, and I find that really empowering. I'm drawn to islands and mountains in particular because they often have really extraordinary levels of ecological diversity relative to area. It's as if the entire world were being compressed into a much smaller world right at my feet. So it's mostly these types of ecological gradients and contrasts that I try to accentuate. Just north of Lima, Peru, there's a shockingly green oasis in the barren desert, where the foothills of the Andes capture the coastal fog, even though it's only about 400 meters of elevation gain. This work depicts a hike I took through this surreal juxtaposition of landscapes in 2019. You start at the Pan American Highway, where there's nothing but sand and gravel. Then, walking east, very gradually uphill, you start to see low vegetation, and it becomes taller and greener bit by bit. After about an hour and a half, you reach the middle of the oasis. Then the trail climbs up toward a ridgeline and everything gets drier again. From the top, you can see the desert again on the other side down below. After that, the trail loops back down into the oasis, and by then the fog might have cleared enough to open up views back down toward the coast. I'm also attracted to sharp juxtapositions of natural and built, for similar reasons, particularly islands of native ecosystems or dramatic topography in the middle of cities or agriculture. It's similar to islands of nature within nature, in that something normally wild, endless, and inaccessible now seems approachable and knowable. I think of this desire to experience nature as something within my grasp, as a protective impulse, and it's actually these small pieces of nature, whether they're hemmed in by development or by other pieces of nature, that are particularly vulnerable to climate change and other environmental threats.